Reggie Jackson struck out 2,600 times in his career, the most in the history of baseball. But you don't hear about the strikeouts. People remember the home runs.
The best way to become successful is to make sure that you know that you are capable of doing anything that you put your mind to and have zero limitations to what ideas you can create. Just like saying there's no such thing as a bad question, there's no such thing as a bad idea, and you should try to complete as many ideas as you possibly can, because you never know when one idea is going to spark an interest in something else which will truly prove to be incredibly successful, but you'll never know it if you give up on your dreams or any idea that you ever have. That's why it's best to truly believe in yourself whenever you get the opportunity. Always make sure that you know you are capable of so much more and you're able to do whatever it takes to get stuff done, because you want to be better at life and you want to be the best person you can possibly be day in and day out. You need to make sure that you're under the mentality of not being afraid to fail, because failure is a great opportunity to learn more information upon yourself and whatever field you're pursuing to try to become successful in. You also can't be afraid to dream big, because the bigger the dream, the more excited you're going to be about pursuing that goal. If it's just some small task that you want to accomplish, you're not going to be that pumped about the possibilities. But if you think about something huge that you want to accomplish, you're going to be stoked about going out and pursuing that with everything you have. You're going to be a true hype beast for yourself and figure out ways to get yourself motivated and excited to get up and go work on your dreams.
So don't be afraid to go outside the box. Don't be afraid to think outside the box. Don't be afraid to fail big, to dream big.
You know, with the training that I had, that's the way we were trained, you know. To play any part, there's no such thing as you can't play a part. You may not be right for a particular part, but I don't think there's a part I can't attempt to play. I could at least analyze and try to break down and put a performance together. It may not be any good, but I was taught, one of the things that I was taught that sticks in my mind was a gentleman by the name of Bill Ball, who was the artistic director of the American Conservatory Theater in San Francisco. And he always talked about failing big. So if you're gonna fail, fail big. Fall back mentality kind of person. People would say, well, you know, better have another career to fall back on. I'm like, I don't wanna fall back on anything. I never understood it. I'm like, I'm going that way. A one-act play about two guys, one named Malcolm, and that really jump-started my career again, because the play went over very well. We did it down at the New Federal Theater, Henry Street Settlement. And that led, I went right from that play to a soldier's play off Broadway, and right from a soldier's play to St. Elsewhere.
You know, I'm an ordinary man with an extraordinary job, not the other way around. So it's all gravy for me. You know, when I was younger, I used to coach a lot, and you coach kids in sports. Nothing made me happier than seeing other people do well. Well, that's sort of my nature, and directing was the perfect job for that, because I love seeing others do well. I mean, I'm okay. I did pretty good. I'm good. I've done all right. But to see others do what, you know, what they're capable of gives me great joy.
When I was in college, up the street, the first two major acting roles I played were the two main acting roles of Robeson's career. Yeah. Eugene O'Neill's The Emperor Jones, that's the first play I ever did. I played the lead. Yeah. And then Othello. When I did Othello, there was an English teacher there by the name of Bob Stone, who came out of retirement, played Brabantio, which is Desdemona's father. Well, Bob Stone was in Othello with Paul Robeson, and he was very instrumental and complimentary, and he's a very large part of the reason that I'm here now, just the guidance and sort of shoring me up and giving me confidence in my ability. At that young age, he saw something in me and he expressed it, and, you know, it gave me the fuel. It's like, okay, yeah, I can do this. I feel a responsibility as a human being. You know, this role model stuff is tossed around, you know, who's the role model, who's the hero, who's the genius, who, you know, it's semantics. I mean, what are you doing for others? What have you done for someone today?
Martin Scorsese did Goodfellas, right? Steven Spielberg could direct Goodfellas. Martin Scorsese probably could have done a good job with Schindler's List, but they're cultural differences. I know, you know, we all know what it is when a hot comb hits your hair on a Sunday morning, what it smells like. That's a cultural difference, not just a color difference. You know, the thing about great writing, August Wilson, Eugene O'Neill, you name it, Arthur Miller, Tennessee Williams, there's so many layers It's not just one thing. It's open to interpretation. You know, I've heard people say things, well, I felt he was this and that. I was like, oh, I never thought about that. But okay, people ask me, well, what do I want them to get from the film? I say, well, it depends upon what they bring to it. So what you see in Troy or feel about Troy has to do with your own life and, you know, standards and all those things. When you talk about racial and you talk about discrimination, maybe, what if he just wasn't good enough? See, it's so easy to just say, oh, it's because of this. It's because of racism. Oh, I didn't get the job because of that. Maybe you weren't good enough. Maybe, like his wife says, you were just too old. She says, why don't you just admit it? You were too old. He's the one that's hung up on, you heard what I just said? You can't legislate love. You can change laws, but you can't legislate people into loving you. It takes time, and it depends upon what's going on in their home. You can change the law, but if you go home and teach your son how to hate every day, doesn't matter what law has been changed. Until you teach your son how to love, then the law is not going to change the way your son feels. That's exactly what happens in our film, which aren't even necessarily true. Maybe they were more true, or maybe that's the way he felt about it in his time. You know, it's up to the adult, it's up to the Troy, it's up to you, it's up to me to change the message.
Thank you all so much for watching this video. If you haven't already, please go ahead and like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and let us know what you thought down in the comments section below.